Good, second day. And I think we're just going to get right into questions. Is that right? Um, do do you want me to, or do you want to point to people to ask, or what do you want?
Yeah,
How do you
sure, we
want
can
to
go
do
ahead
this?
and do that. We can start on this side. Pooja, go ahead.
Sure. So HISD officials have told us that teachers at several schools, I believe it's 29 schools, will have to reapply for their positions. Are teachers the problem here? What are y'all looking for when asking all these people to reapply for their jobs?
Number one priority for any school district is the quality of instruction. Quality of instruction is the leading indicator. The main job of the district is to have high performing teachers, high quality instruction, and principals who can supervise and coach teachers to get high quality instruction. What we have to do across the district, I'm getting to the answer specifically, but what we have to do across the district is to make sure that all 273 schools have principals who are instructional leaders and then high quality instruction in every classroom. We can't do that overnight with 273 schools. We're going to do training, we're going to do professional development, we're going to do all of that over the course of the year. We're going to monitor and coach and evaluate, but we can't put in those systems effectively across the district at one time. We can do a subset of schools. And so we're going to prioritize the need of that high quality instruction and other resources in our what we call our priority schools, and in this case the NES schools, New Education System schools. And those schools have to be done mostly through feeder patterns. I can improve the quality of instruction and the achievement in one high school, let's say, but then what about the middle schools that feed into that high school? Then we're going to have to do it all over again when when the eighth graders go to ninth grade, fifth graders go to sixth grade. You follow me? So we've chosen three feeder patterns: Wheatley, Kashmir, North Forest, and I think three other schools that are really high need schools to start this NES system.
So would it be fair that when y'all are looking into closures in the future, these would be some of the schools that you would consider first?
No, because closures are about a whole bunch of things. You could have a high quality school with only 137 kids who are not getting the best education, even though they have really good teachers, but the economies of scales and the resources aren't there. So that's a different story. I wouldn't want to conflate the two.
Some teachers,
Go ahead, Sabrina.
some teachers say this is a system that's been done before and it didn't work in the past under other superintendents. I spoke to some teachers today who say they're concerned that this is coming in as something that's been done, and what's new with you?
I wonder what is actually meant by what actually has been done. Here's what's been done before: making sure that every school has a high quality teacher, and that making sure your best performing teachers or most effective teachers are with your lowest performing kids. That's what's been done before, and that's worked to great effect. I refer you to the National Bureau of Economic Research paper that came out in March on the Accelerating Campus Excellence Program, ACE. That's been done before, and that's been done to great effect. I can also refer you to the National Bureau of Economic Research paper that was done in March, another one on the pay for performance system in Dallas. That's been done before, and that's been done to great effect to raise student achievement. The third thing I would say that's been done before is whole-scale systemic reform from my charter network, Third Future Schools, where we turned around schools, Ector College Prep, Sam Houston Elementary School, in 1 year. And so that's been done before, and some of those pieces we're doing here, and they'll do the same. They'll have the same effect as those other schools.
Jason.
Superintendent Miles, can you describe the mood in the Q&A this morning with teachers from these feeder schools? And secondly, we
Yeah.
talked to an arts teacher who said the program was eliminated under this plan. Are some things being shifted, or is that inaccurate?
Yeah, so I think it's too early to say what's been shifted or what's not been shifted. We know that 28 schools will have a new education system or different model and different level of supports. We haven't really looked at every single program to say this is going to go or not. But back to your first question, the mood in the room. So, look, I think there were 200 people there, or something like that, and several people online. So it's hard to say there's one mood. But having said that, there's always going to be some anxiety. I said this yesterday, and I mean it. Information or the absence of information and just change breeds anxiety. What we have to do is provide a level of support so that that anxiety turns to hope. We also have to provide a level of proof point so that anxiety goes to hope. There were several people in that room and in the principals meeting earlier at North Forest, when they saw the salaries and the supports for teachers, they were actually a little bit more hopeful than they were when they walked in the room. So I think there's a mix of that. It's understandable, and change is going to bring some anxiety. So there's going to be some anxiety on most of the summer, probably. But we will keep moving. We'll keep putting information out there, so that we can turn that anxiety and fear into best hopes.
How are you guys gonna? Sorry, we're gonna let Dama be going, then we'll go with that.
Have certain salaries already increased, and exactly what happened in the meeting today? Have any teachers or principals been reassigned already?
No, so this is what we're going to do. We put up the salary plan for the teachers and principals in the new education system schools, the 28 high-need schools. So it's been advertised, but nobody's been moved yet, nobody's been hired yet, so that's where we are.
How much is that increase?
So for the new education system schools, if you're a middle school teacher in one of those middle schools, your average salary is going to be $86,000. On top of that, you'll get a $10,000 stipend, not signing bonus. I misspoke the other day. Stipend. So the average person is going to get $96,000 to teach at a new education system school. But it's better than that, because what we're also going to do is we're going to professionalize it. We're going to use the hospital model, meaning this. When doctors come into a room, they do their surgery, they don't prep the room, they don't put out the materials, they don't take the blood pressure, they don't get up the equipment. They just come in, have somebody put their gloves on, and then they do their surgery. Teachers should be similar in that they should be able to instruct, they shouldn't have to make copies, they shouldn't have to prepare the room, they shouldn't have to prepare their materials. That should be done for them. They shouldn't have to worry about lesson planning. Somebody else can do that. Now, teachers always have the autonomy to change their lesson plans that they receive, but trust me, we've done this before. Teachers are going to like the fact that they have aligned lesson plans tied to their TEKS done for them, and they just have to teach like champions.
Sam,
How are you going to make the distinction at these 29 NES schools between the teachers who are making 85, 95K and the learning apprentices, or the learning coaches apprentices, and our current experienced teachers going to be reclassified as apprentices or coaches?
So they're no, they're not going to be reclassified. Maybe I don't understand the question, but let me just outline it just briefly. So yes, we have teachers, and they're differentiated based on a hospital model, but the average salary I already told you. And then there are learning coaches and apprentices. The apprentices, for example, their starting salary is $68,000. And they are teachers or people who want to be teachers working on their certification, who are in the classroom helping out, and then when there's a vacancy, they step in. But they want to be teachers. So their starting salary will be $68,000, and learning coaches is less than that because learning coaches are not teachers. They're support for teachers.
And then, so you said to the Chronicle editorial board that librarians are going to be cut from, likely to be cut from some of these schools.
Yeah.
Are they going to be offered other positions in the district? And what do you say to people who assert that librarians, help develop children's ability to read?
Yeah, so thanks for asking the librarian question again. So let me clarify because it was not quoted properly. Look, If you are a librarian, counselor, teacher, principal, or AP, and you have a contract or will receive a contract to work for HISD next year, you will continue to have a job in HISD. We will guarantee the contract, but maybe not the position. If you don't receive a position in these 28 schools, then you will have a job in the district as a librarian, counselor, teacher, principal, or AP somewhere in the district. Okay, I hope that's clear.
Go ahead.
You mentioned not having to design their own lesson plans, for example. Who would be designing those lesson plans?
So we have a curriculum department that's well-staffed, and they're very experienced in making sure that the curriculum is aligned, that it's research-based. For example, reading has to be a science of reading curriculum. So they will make sure that these lesson plans are tied to the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. We call them the TEKS. And that way, when the teacher comes in, they'll have planning period anyway, the teachers will, an hour a day. Before they teach that lesson, they will familiarize themselves, of course. They will change it, they will tweak it, they will make it their own. But yes, the curriculum department will do that.
Okay, we have 3 more questions. We're going to do Seth, and then we'll do Estrella. Okay. You're good? Okay, Estrella? Okay, Telemundo?
Yes, what's the message that you want to send, especially to teachers, to anybody that works here in the district? They're worried that they might lose their jobs. What's exactly the message you want?
So I'll say it again. If you're a teacher, librarian, counselor, principal, or AP in HISD, and you already have a job, you have a contract or the intent of a contract, so a principal has told you you have a job next year, you've not been non-renewed, you will have a job at the same salary next year at HISD. A similar position. It may not be in the same, if you're in the 28 schools, it may not be in those schools, but the rest of the district, if you're a teacher at any of the other schools, you'll have the same position, the same job, same salary has been promised. If you're in these 28 schools, you'll still have a job, just not at that school, unless you get hired at that school.
Landing, do y'all have a question? Houston Landing?
Just answered.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Dominique, and then Pooja, sorry.
Can you explain the NES system and how it's different from what's being done right now?
I can. Y'all don't have any other questions besides the NES system? Let me answer your question, and I'll answer that one. So here's the major difference is this. We in our profession have provided piecemeal support, piecemeal reform. We do a curriculum this year. Next year we do a different textbook. Then we do after-school tutoring. Then we do a professional development next year. Then the year after that we try to hire more APs, and then we do more librarians. We do piecemeal reform. That has not worked. It has not worked in the nation. It has not worked in HISD. It certainly hasn't worked in large urbans. So the way to reform and move the achievement needle and get our kids prepared for the year 2035 is to do whole-scale systemic reform. That means many systemic things at once. Can't do that in 273 schools. It's too many. We don't have the resources. It's too monolithic, too hard to change, and it's June. And August is just around the corner. But we can do it if we work effectively and efficiently, do it in 28 schools, close to 30 schools. Yes, sir.
For the other schools that will eventually get performance pay models under your plan, HISD has tried performance pay under various programs in the past, and they've been defeated. But the unions fought against it, and so and I think they're currently trying to implement the TIA program. So I'm curious, how are you going to get your performance pay program passed? What's different about it than previous attempts, and is it going to affect the current TIA process that the district's going through?
That sounds like a question I had before I put pay for performance in at Harrison, and then the same question I had before I put the pay for performance system in Dallas. Houston is not Dallas and it's not Harrison, but with regard to a compensation package, It is similar. Here's the principle, and here's the answer. The principle that I'm talking about is no organization can maximize its effectiveness if how it compensates people is not aligned to what it values. So we identify what you value, whether that's achievement, whether it's graduation rate, whether it's preparation for year 2035, and then compensate people who can give you that value. So the pay for performance plan we have lines up with that principle. I've done it twice now. The most successful one in the nation has been Dallas. We will borrow from that, and then we will do better than Dallas, and we will beat Dallas on their achievement.
And
So
then-
there's been, oh, sorry.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. There'll be other times we can talk about it.
Superintendent Miles.
And y'all know y'all can send your questions into press office inbox, so we can work through those.
Thank you.
I just have a quick.
Yeah.
You said that, Cashmere, North Forest, and
We're working
Whitley.
on getting it.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, yeah, we're-
okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. But feel free if you don't hear, at least within,